Calling in a Divine Counterpart, Part 4, Availability Before the Beloved Arrives. This essay is part 4 of a 5-part inquiry into what it actually means to be ready to call in a divine counterpart. In Part 1, I questioned why the longing for partnership persists if the work is internal. In Part 2, I explored safety as a felt experience in the body rather than a decision we make with our minds. In Part 3, I examined ease and why so many of us distrust it after learning that love must be earned through effort. Together, these essays trace a movement away from fantasy and toward capacity. As a transition doula, I work with people in the space before something arrives, before clarity, before commitment, before the next form reveals itself. Again and again, what's being asked for in these moments is not action, but availability. Not availability to another person, but availability to oneself. Availability is a state, not a reaction. For a long time, I believed emotional availability began when someone else entered the picture. I thought it was something activated by attraction, chemistry, or intimacy. But what I came to understand, slowly, sometimes painfully, is that availability is a state we inhabit before love arrives, not something we switch on in response to it. You can want partnership deeply and still be unavailable. Unavailable to stillness, unavailable to uncertainty, unavailable to being met without control. Availability is the capacity to be in contact with yourself, with truth, with what is present, without bracing, numbing, or rehearsing an exit. When openness isn't availability. After my divorce, I found myself talking about it on nearly every date I went on. The story surfaced early and often. At the time, I told myself I was being transparent, emotionally honest, and open. But in truth, I was processing unresolved trauma by retelling it to a captive audience. I was narrating my pain in real time, asking for witness before I had learned how to witness myself. This wasn't emotional availability, it was trauma dumping. I didn't yet know how to be present without story. I didn't know how to stay with my own experience without handing it to someone else to hold. And because of that, I wasn't actually available for the kind of intimacy I said I wanted. Openness without containment doesn't create connection, it overwhelms it. Learning availability through self-contact. It wasn't until I became available to myself that this began to change. For me, that doorway was daily meditation. That won't be the path for everyone, but the function was the same. I was learning how to sit with my own inner life without narrating it, fixing it, or offering it up for interpretation. I was learning how to stay. Through that practice, I began to recognize the availability I desired in a partner, and the availability I was actually capable of giving. I could feel the difference between presence and processing, between intimacy and urgency, between sharing and spilling. Availability, I learned, is not the willingness to feel, it's the capacity to remain while feeling. Why control masquerades as readiness? In the absence of a partner, control often disguises itself as preparation. We curate boundaries, we refine standards, we rehearse language. None of this is inherently wrong, but it can quietly become a way of avoiding the simpler, more vulnerable work of staying open without knowing what will come next. Readiness isn't something we declare, it's something we demonstrate through presence. Availability cannot be performed, it can only be lived. Making space for what hasn't arrived yet. Divine partnership does not enter crowded inner rooms. It arrives where there is space to be impacted, space to respond rather than react, space to be changed. This is why availability is inseparable from simplicity. If your inner life is overfull with stories, strategies, rehearsals, there is no room for resonance to land. Preparation is not accumulation, it is clearing. The threshold before union. Before there is union, there is a threshold, and thresholds do not ask us to do more. They ask us to stay open while not knowing. Availability is the courage to remain receptive without grasping. It's the willingness to let love arrive in its own timing, form, and texture without requiring it to justify itself. A goddess for this threshold. As we practice availability, I call on Hecate, guardian of doorways, crossroads, and liminal spaces. She reminds us that what is meant to enter does not need to be forced open, that readiness is not urgency, that what belongs will recognize an open gate. May we learn to be available to ourselves first. May we stay without story when presence is enough. May we trust that love knows how to find what is truly open. If this essay resonated, you're invited to continue the series by subscribing and liking, and visit www.goddessintraining.online for more.